I've been struggling with panic attacks and health anxiety for more than 5 years, and I don't anymore. Or at least I have maybe one panic attack a year, which I can easily prevent from getting into something bigger. And I wanted to share some tips with you guys and tell you about some perspective shifts I've been having that help me to let go of my anxiety. I'm super aware of how privileged I am and of the fact that I'm living here in Germany and I can afford housing, and I know that a lot of people out there who really have a lot to be scared of, and their fears are extremely valid. It's just that mine weren't, because I was just having anxiety, fears of things that didn't really exist. And I think a lot of people with mental health problems struggle with the same, and I wanted to help, especially in this time of Corona, where of course we should all be worried, but I can imagine some people really not being able to think about anything else. Also, it's basically Halloween, so the day where apparently the veil between life and death gets lifted and the spirits enter our world. At least that's what people believed before when we were celebrating Samhain, or people celebrate their ancestors in El Día de los Muertos. These are the days where you can celebrate the dead, and I want to talk about the fear of dying. So I know that for some people breath exercise is not really useful, and to be honest, to me myself, it was also not a big help. I'm just going to mention something really simple as breathing in normally, then making a break, and then breathing out really slowly. And I think for many people it has different triggers, different traumas that are connected to breath, so it's completely okay to not do breath exercises. Another thing that's similarly cliche as breath exercises is self-care. For me, self-care that helps anxiety is not necessarily taking a long bath or something, because I think if I just try to meditate, take a long bath, I'm just gonna freak out more and more and more. It's actually trying to take back the control of your own body, because especially the fear of getting sick is so related to body hatred, which as its own thing is also a product of how we are conditioned in society. But it also makes sense to try to make some small things like dye your hair or make body modifications, do makeup, do a face mask, switch your skincare routine, do sports. And through all of this self-care stuff, you just realize that there is no separation between you and your body. And things like tattoos and piercings, like body modification, make you realize that your body can heal. Something that I've been doing for a very long time, but now I'm not doing anymore because actually I'm not anxious anymore, is having an anxiety diary, which in my case wasn't really a diary, but more some thoughts and feelings I was experiencing about my anxiety, and specifically a list of illnesses I thought I had, which I think was maximum 40. When I looked at it and I was wow, I must have thought I was dying 40 times. I could get some distance to it and see how crazy that was. Yeah, and I'm thinking about it, maybe crazy is it's a bad word to use, but it's nice sometimes to realize this about yourself, that you're experiencing some insane stuff. So something that also made a really big difference for me was realizing what actually is a healthy body. So I had this kind of idea in my head that a healthy body is a body that's functioning absolutely perfect, like some kind of robot or something. And then I had to realize that a healthy body has all kinds of things like pain, or sometimes something wrong with the stomach, something your head hurts, you get a cold, and this is a constant thing, and you never will be perfectly healthy. And then there is of course the question why does health matter so much, and what does this mean for chronically ill people, or people living with a disability, or fat people like myself who are always told that we are being unhealthy and not taking care of our bodies enough. And what does it mean ideologically? As soon as I noticed that I developed symptoms of a panic attack, like a really strong, fast heartbeat and nervousness, really fear of death, fear that I might die, but yeah, especially like heart racing, difficulty to breathe, and I recognize that I'm having a panic attack, I just stop like taking myself seriously for the day, which sounds kind of self-diminishing, but it's actually really useful because, you know, like as soon as you start focusing too much on one thing, as soon as you start like getting into your fear, you just tell yourself, okay, it's just a panic attack, it's just something that I know, that I recognize, and I can stop it. So something that's really specific to hypochondria is that you can symbolically connect illnesses to certain thoughts. So for example, if you're scared of going blind, then maybe you're scared of not being able to express yourself visually anymore, or you're scared of not seeing your loved ones anymore. So these are the fears you have to address, not the actual thing with the eyes. Or like with the heart, that something is heavy on your heart, or connecting your heart, like somehow cliche but with like emotions. And there are studies that say that people actually felt pain of the heart after losing a loved one or experiencing heartbreak, so they actually have the physical symptoms. So I think in different cultures there are different ways to connect to death. So for example, in Christianity, this whole idea of life after death in heaven was based on the thought that this life after death is more important than life on earth, and that life on earth is just something where you have to prove your worth to go to heaven, and then actually the only thing that matters after that. And nowadays this completely got shifted by this whole like YOLO mentality, where the only life that matters is the life that you're living now. Like for example, in paganism, in the culture that existed in Europe before Christianity, there was this day that I was mentioning, Samhain. This is the day where supposedly the veil between this world and the world of the death is lifted, so it becomes like kind of thin, and the spirits start entering this world, and then you can either drive away the ones that you don't like negative spirits, or you can welcome the spirits that you would like to eat with or spend time with in your home. And something really similar is the Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, where also the dead are invited on similar dates to enter your home, to enter a feast. And both of those days, Samhain and Dia de los Muertos, are not just days of sadness, but days where you're supposed to celebrate the death, celebrate death itself, celebrate your ancestors. Also, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying expresses Buddhistic and Tibetan beliefs about integrating death into life. So it's actually a part of daily life, and people are meditating on it from a very young age, and you're supposed to make peace with death and to accept it while you're still alive. Actually going through this process of loss, of accepting loss, of actually reconnecting to your ancestors can give you a lot in terms of like wisdom and also this acceptance of your own death. And there are many ways to do this, like for example this kind of celebration that I was mentioning that are also still happening here in form of Halloween, but maybe most people don't really relate them to death as much. You can also create like a small altar with photos of people you've lost, like dead loved ones, or like even people who did not die but who left your life somehow, and to try to go through this like really deep reconnection with them and letting go and trying to welcome them back into your life, or like push them out, whatever you want. Something really simple, like a really simple exercise that really helps me is trying to refocus my attention from myself to the outer world. So what I do is I just list 6 things that I can sense, 6 things that I can hear, 6 things that I can feel in my body, and 6 things I see. If you're outside, it can be like some car noises, some like short part of somebody's talking, anything small you feel in your body, like your clothes touching your skin, or you can like slowly stroke your hand and then you can sense this feeling or the sensation on your skin. and whatever you see, like other people, animals, plants, whatever it might be, like you have a mobile phone, it can be really anything. It sounds super basic, but it's so surprising to me that when I'm having a panic attack, I can't list those 6 things because I'm so like, oh, what am I feeling? I can't really focus, and it's like, yeah, it's really useful to try to like really focus and concentrate on 6 things. So this 6 things exercise to me is really connected to this whole problem of individualism in our society, which sounds like a really big concept, but many times I was sitting in a big group of people and could not feel any empathy. I could not follow the conversation because I was having anxiety, and I felt so lonely and so like cut off from everyone else. But in general, I really feel like having deep connection to others actually can really lift anxiety. Philosophically, it's this question of where do I end and where do you begin, which is a really big question, of course. But I really feel like in our Anglo-centric European society, we really do put too much focus on ourselves and kind of lose connection to others, and that in other societies they don't really think about, or we don't really think about conceptualizing ourselves as like individuals. And if you live in a constant state of fear and instability, it's hard to value your own life more than others. And this whole fear of death, fear of something embarrassing happening to you personally sounds really less intense because you know that the world doesn't end if you end. So this is not really like a complete list, and as I said, I'm not actually qualified to give psychological advice. So this is just something that I was thinking about that helped me to let go of my anxiety. So maybe it helps you. So if it did, please give me a like and a subscribe, and see you next time.